Hey guys, it's Shannon. This is the Train the Trainer video for customer experiences that win clients for life. This is a 1 hour course, so I'm going to try to keep this Train the Trainer to less than 30 minutes. We'll see, but that's my goal, so I'm going to jump right in. I am going to keep it in whatever mode this is, not necessarily presentation mode, so you can see the scripting below, and it'll also remind me to prompt some things that I always talk about with this class. So one thing I like to start out with this class before I even get going is to ask the students and really wait for them to answer, and then even pull out if I feel like I can for them to elaborate. But the question that's there in the notes is, would you say that consumers have changed over the past, and I usually do 20 years, of course they'll say yes. 10 years, 5 years, of course they always say yes. And again, I'll kind of pull out, and often answers are things like, well, of course, technology, etc. But that then leads into the second slide. This is an animated slide, as you can see in the notes. And so my point here is that consumers, of course, have changed in even just the last very few number of years, not to mention 20 plus. And so we have to change. And that change is really centered in the focus of today's class, is that it's time to step away from traditional marketing. So that's where the animation comes in. You'll click to reveal that traditional marketing. You click again, and that red circle comes up. And instead, we need to be shifting to customer experience. So traditional marketing is out, customer experience is very much in. And so that's what we're going to focus on in today's class. That said, that can sometimes cause a little bit of people, concern. So we like to remind them here, real estate is a relationship-based business based on building relationships. And of course, that will never go out of style, but people want a great experience before, during, and even long after doing business with you. That's what builds loyalty. So that's what we're going to focus on throughout today's class with this agenda. And I read through that. So first, before we go any further, let's make sure we're all on the same page about understanding even what I mean when I say customer experience. And here again, if you choose, you could ask for some examples from the students. What do you think of when I say customer experience? They might say things like, they're loyal to Starbucks because of the service or the coffee, or Nordstrom's or Southwest Airlines, or whatever it may be. But depending on how interactive you like to be with the class, this is a good conversation point. And then it leads into, there are several. I think I have 3 definitions in here, so certainly it's the instructor's option if you wanted to pull back on 1 or 2 of these if you feel like it's too much. But I'm going to include all of them in this demo. So first, a description or definition of a customer experience, and I'll just read it. It is the product of an interaction between you and a customer over the duration of the relationship. This interaction includes the customer's journey through different stages of awareness, cultivation, discovery, advocacy, purchase, and use of the service. The reason I do like this one, even though it's really lengthy and long, is I find that in particular within real estate, what realtors seem to think of as the customer experience, and it's not surprising, but what they tend to think about is during the course of the transaction. That a customer experience starts at the time that a potential buyer or seller contacts an agent and starts talking about the potential of working together to closing, and that is where the customer experience lies. But this definition, as well as the others that I bring into this, broaden that dramatically. And so I really stress that with the agents, is that it is important to recognize that the customer's journey begins all the way back at awareness. And so I use examples of awareness such as The first time someone walks into your open house and meets you, the agent, that's when their customer experience starts. The first time someone refers you, the agent, to them and they research your website, that's where the customer experience starts. Or they call based on your yard sign, that's where everything starts. It may not turn into an actual transaction in the next few months or even years, but the customer experience has started, and that's really the core of all of this class, and hopefully I'll build on that as we go through. Wikipedia defines it this way: customer experience encompasses every aspect of a company's offering. And here I literally pause and say, by the way, anywhere you see the word company, that means you. Not your brand, not your brokerage, not Coldwell Banker, Remax, whatever it is. Company means you. You as a realtor are the company. So customer experience encompasses every aspect of your offering. That includes, of course, the quality of customer care, but also advertising, packaging, product and service features, ease of use, and reliability. So here are the key points, and you might choose to highlight these. I guess we didn't in the slides here in the master, but you could. The words I stress here are advertising, packaging, product and service, really this last section. So that, you know what, I am right here. I can just highlight it right now. The point here is everything that you put out on social media, your voicemail greeting, your email signature, your Facebook posts, your Facebook business page, your LinkedIn profile, all of that is part of the customer experience. And people and potential customers can start engaging with and actually starting that customer service even before they ever meet you. So that's why the quality of the information you put out on social media, the quality of your listing flyers, your open house announcements, all of those types of things are so important because they're all part of that customer experience. Okay? And then we transition into, let's look at a company that does this really well. And so the company I've chosen is good old Dallas, or rather Texas company, Southwest Airlines. And so you can see there's a link there, and that is an embedded YouTube video of one of the flight attendants doing one of their patented, really fun safety, both a welcome and safety message for Southwest Airlines. Runs about 2 minutes. It's really fun. The guy does this little rap sing thing to the safety message. Shows the people getting on the plane, and everybody's happy. It takes an experience that for most of us, when you're traveling on another airline, it's the most arduous part of finding your seat and getting the bags up in the etc. But this guy makes it fun, and everybody's smiling and clapping along. That's part of the customer experience. To the right of that, and this again is, or I don't think I say it in here, but it is an animated slide, and the animation comes in after you play the video, because most people have flown Southwest and they've seen something like this, but still they always like to watch the video. But after that, I show the picture of the luggage there. And so this came out of, when I wrote this class, I researched companies that are really known for their customer service. I saw a lot. I chose to just focus on Southwest. And one of the stories I saw was based on the luggage. And so I think it's pretty much in the notes, yeah. But I'll just quick thumbnail version of this story, and you can Google it and probably find it online yourself as well. But the reason we show luggage on this slide is that Southwest Airlines has a practice that a lot of people don't know about. There's no reason you would unless you've ever had a problem. And so I came across it through this story. It was a father and daughter traveling across country for a college visit. They get to wherever it is they're going, go to the luggage turnstile, and of course it has to be the daughter's bag that comes out, and it's clearly gotten caught up in some kind of machinery or something. I'm sure it wasn't malicious, but just something happened. Her bag is largely destroyed, her clothes are messed up, maybe lost some, etc. So dad scoops up what he can, and they stomp, I'm sure pretty angrily, off to the Southwest luggage office, and they're met by an employee who handles the situation beautifully, but does something that no one expected, and that is ushers them into a back room behind the, I guess, luggage office is what you call it. And it is a room full of varying sizes of black luggage. And he basically says, to the father-daughter, pick out a bag that fits your needs. Put everything in there. This is yours. This is your new luggage, free of charge. Happy, of course. Still an inconvenience, all of that. But the point of this is Southwest really works hard at creating that customer experience at every level. So they do things, especially when they first began this, it was more unexpected, but the sing-songy welcomes and that kind of thing. But all the way to the opposite side of, we all need to anticipate that sometimes things are going to go wrong. And so they're prepared for that as well with the luggage. So just an interesting side note, at least it's interesting to me, so I'll tell y'all, with the luggage thing. I researched that story, truly found it online, felt like I researched it enough to feel that it was true. I was teaching the class, and I had taught this class a bunch of times before this happened, but finally I was teaching the class one day to a whole new group of agents, and an agent was kind of laughing as I'm going through this story, and if I remember right, he was the broker of the office. And so I'm like, okay, what gives, why? And it so happened, this guy, he lives here in the DFW area. His neighbor is the point person for buying the luggage for Southwest Airlines. That's what that guy does. And so it was, even though I felt like I knew I was confident in the story and had some, but this guy, it's like, oh yeah, that's what my neighbor does. He buys and coordinates the logistics of supplying all the major Southwest airline hubs with this luggage. So, okay, that's just my weird little story on this aspect. And here again, sometimes, depending on how the class is going, etc., I sometimes ask agents for, what brands do you love? And you'll hear some common things of I don't know, maybe a Starbucks, Panera, Nordstrom's, Sewell. I don't know if that's in other markets, but it's a big car dealership here in DFW that I get that one a lot because they're really known for their service, etc. So that gets people thinking, and it really just drives home the point between the definitions and then the example to say it's customer experiences like this that make people loyal to these brands. And generally at this point, people are nodding their heads. They get it. They're thinking about the brands that they're loyal to. That said, and again, this is an animated slide, how do you create that customer experience when people only use your services once every few years? So we know national statistics, I think, cover somewhere around every 7 years the average person moves. So that's a long time in between them needing the services of a realtor. People get coffee a lot more often. They even fly, for fun or business or whatever, a lot more often. So these other businesses that we might have talked about or been thinking about, they have more frequent touch points with their customers to keep reinforcing that customer experience. So how do we do that as realtors? With the animation, the 2 bullet points will fill in. And so the first one there is by shifting your thinking away from marketing to your potential customers, such as sphere of influence, farm area, past clients, etc., and shift to treating them like customers even before and long after they actually are your customers. So that's how we make that shift to creating customer experiences. Before we go into that, we already agreed at the beginning of class that consumers have dramatically changed over the years. Here's some specific ways that they have done so. Their expectations are higher. They expect a lot of things on demand. Though even with those high expectations and wanting things on demand, they also want personalized connections. So just blast emails and things that might have worked a few years ago don't. People do demand some personalization. They also pretty much all have what we call DIY syndrome. Everybody thinks they can do everything themselves these days, right? We can check ourselves out at Walmart or the grocery store. There are YouTube videos on absolutely everything. So you've got lots of examples here. As realtors, we need to be very aware that a lot of those YouTube videos pretend or portend to, tell people how to buy and sell without a realtor and things. So it's up to us to really insert ourselves in the process for our customers. So we'll demonstrate that. So lastly, we've talked about customer experience, we've talked about expectations that current consumers have, but let's also now talk about you being the agent, your specific audience of customers. Again, animated slide here, and I spend a fair amount of time on this one, and I'll give you the language I use. It may or may not work exactly in how you present it, but here's how I do it. So, and I say this in the script here. First, I want to once and for all throw out the term sphere of influence. You were likely told from day one of getting into real estate to create a list of everyone you know or people who know you, and this is going to be your sphere of influence, and these are these people that you are going to drip on and touch and market to and advertise to, and that's where you're going to create top of mind awareness so that when they need real estate services, they think of you. I want to shift that. I've been teaching sphere of influence for 20 plus years, and I would be happy if I never had to say those 3 words again. Because consumers have changed, and literally even think about the language that we use, and this always gets a chuckle from the audience. Who wants to be dripped on? Who wants to be touched or marketed to or advertised at? Nobody. What we all want is to be treated as valuable customers. Okay? So we literally want to change the mindset of, and hopefully you have a database, an Excel spreadsheet, and your Outlook contact list, a top producer, a realty juggler, whatever database. I want you to stop thinking of those people as your sphere of influence, but instead, this is your customer list. Even if many people on that list have never actually used and paid for your services, they are still your potential customers. So we're going to start treating them like that. So before we get into the exact how-tos of it, this is just a good reminder, and this page is in your book, and we could probably, if we spent some more time here, we could come up with even lots more examples. But at this time that you're making this shift away from sphere of influence and to your customer list, it's a perfect time to just reevaluate your customer list and make sure it includes all of these people, your past clients, your current clients, of course, neighbors, family, friends, but moving maybe over to the far right of some areas that you hadn't thought about: your doctor, your dentist, your veterinarian, insurance agent, hairdresser, dry cleaner, kids, teachers, all of these types of things. These are the people that should be on your customer list. You can present this a number of ways. I generally do, and it is, again, animated. You see the picture. And before I show the animation, so it comes up with just the picture, not the words on the right. Before I click for the animation, I ask people, especially if I have a good size, if I just have 2 or 3 agents, I might not do it this way. But if I have a reasonable size class, I always ask before I show the text, how many of you have had this happen? And here's the way I do it. You put it into your own words. You run into someone at the grocery store, at a cocktail party, at a ball game, at whatever it is. And they, hey, how are you? Great, blah, blah, blah. And they very excitedly start to tell you how they just bought or sold a house. Now, of course, they're telling you this because they did not use you. Always, 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 I get people nodding their head, kind of even, oh, yes, I've so had that happen to me. So that leads into the text. Here's why it happens. Because no matter how friendly you are with your neighbors, other parents, even your own family and friends, people know you how they know you best. Meaning they think of you first as their neighbor, their friend, their cousin, their former coworker, their whatever it may be. They're not thinking of you first as a realtor. They think of you in the personal role in which they know you. So we have to insert real estate into the relationship without being annoying, without being that pushy realtor, etc. But that's what we're going to talk about of when we start treating them as our customers by talking about real estate, by reminding people that we're in real estate and we have valuable information and services to provide them. That's how we help them start thinking about us as a resource to them. And so that's where we're going to go with this. So, how to create a customer experience with today's consumer in mind. Here we go. This is really the nuts and bolts of the course, and I'll go through this part pretty quickly because I think it's pretty self-explanatory. The whole beginning of this, explaining what customer experience is and how to create it, that's the portion that I see needs the most explanation. The rest of this, even though it's very exciting to the agents and it's fun stuff to talk about, you guys as instructors are going to get this. You're not going to need a lot of examples from me. If I misgauge that and you want me to do a deeper dive into any of these, of course, let me know. But that's just thought I would put that out there. So remember, our consumers, they have really high expectations. So one of the things that we should always be looking to do is meet those expectations even before, or if they never ask for the information or the service. So these next several are examples of that. You being the agent in this case, should be putting out market statistics in every possible way, minimum once a month, and get really consistent about doing this. And when you do so, people will start noticing and being aware of it. And so they'll even start to look for it, like, oh, I haven't gotten my market stats from Rose yet. She usually sends them out around the middle of the month, etc. So putting these out via email newsletters, on your social media, text them out if you want, however you want to do it, but provide those market stats every single month. Additionally, offer CMAs to your clients once a year. Make sure that you are, and again, this is not just for your past clients. This is for everyone on your customer list that owns property in your market area. You should have a system to be offering them a CMA on their property once a year. Once they've requested the CMA, follow up with it through the app with the estimated net sheet, because you can give them the CMA that says, well, market value on your home is right around $200,000 right now. They don't know necessarily what that would look like in selling and as at a closing. So this is a great follow-up. Not all of your potential customers own a home yet. So for those that don't, answering that question of how much they can afford, again, can be answered by tools within the app. So the monthly affordability calculator or the rent versus buy. Keep in touch by that good old-fashioned device that we all carry around, but most of us don't use much in this way. Call people. Literally pick up the phone and call people. Checking in. Hi, how are you? Hey, I saw on your Facebook that you got a new puppy. Congratulate, whatever it is. I do talk about Slide Dial here and go through that app. Quality matters. So here we shift gears a little bit into, I bring them back and remind them of this definition of customer experience, that everything we put out in our marketing is part of the customer experience. Advertising, packaging, social media content, etc. So it's really important that everything that goes out in their name is super high quality, and of course our marketing content is to that level and can be great content for them. Today's consumers are used to many things being on demand. So one recommendation we have is get people off of those national mobile sites, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, etc. And then whether it's your MLS mobile app or your brokerage, if they offer a mobile app, get your customers onto that instead. Explain that these are cleaner, more reliable sources to the real estate data than they even get on the national sites. And they will feel like they have something really special. And of course, it will all be branded to you. Today's consumer wants and expects personalized connections. Look for opportunities to surprise and delight them. One way to do so is with a greeting card. And I always ask this question, when did you last receive a personalized greeting card in the mail? Most people say something like, well, my grandma sends me one on my birthday every year. But for the most part, we don't get things like that. So the point here, don't be one of hundreds to wish people a happy birthday on Facebook or Insta or wherever. Be the one person that makes them smile with a personalized card. If people don't know how to look up those birthdays, this walks them through. They can go into events and then birthdays, and it breaks it down year by year. Create a database. Buy your cards in bulk from Amazon or any other service, and once a month you sit down, fill out and address the cards, mail them, drop them in the mailbox throughout the month, and you will be a huge hero. Another opportunity, if it's people that you're not connected with on social media, ask your independence title closer to share with you the client's birth dates, not necessarily the year, when they take a copy of the driver's license at closing. So you can add to your database there as well. Also tell people to watch for what I call card opportunities. So people announce everything on social media. When they get engaged, when they get pregnant, when they have a baby, when they get a dog, when they get a new job, when the kid gets into college, all of those are fantastic card opportunities. And you could also turn this into, they would be great phone call opportunities. Call somebody and say, hey, I saw your great news. Happy birthday. Can I buy you a cup of coffee, a glass of wine to celebrate, whatever it is. But social media is such a fantastic place to find those opportunities. Here we go through pop buys. I won't bore y'all with details on this because you know what they are. So there we go. Purple cow. I always ask people at first, anyone know what I mean by this? Why am I suggesting a purple cow? Y'all probably all know it relates to the Seth Godin marketing book, Purple Cow, Transform Your Business by Being Remarkable. The whole concept here, if you haven't read the book, is doing things and providing services that are literally remarkable. And what that means is they are things worth being remarked on. So provide service and experiences and surprises to your client that they literally say to someone, my realtor did that. My realtor invited me to this party. My realtor gave me, in this case, these great closing gifts that are really fun and different and creative. And they're things that people will actually remark on over time. We go into customer experiences as far as personalized events. These can be on the really small scale, meet for coffee, lunch, drinks, breakfast, whatever. You can go a little bigger, medium gatherings, maybe a painting party, outdoor concert, whatever it may be. Even larger events, rent out a theater for a movie event, holiday pie pickups, customer appreciation parties, etc. This one should go without saying, but it's worth talking about, the importance of truly engaging on social media to make your customers smile. The point here, again, you can read the slide. You guys have all heard this, but science proves that literally when someone likes, comments, shares, hearts, retweets, whatever they do with their social media content, we get a little rush of dopamine. And thinking about that from an agent perspective, when you take the time to slow down a little bit when you're skimming through Facebook and you see one of your customers, whether they've actually used your services yet or not, but they're on your customer list, look for ways to engage with their content. Like, share, comment, text them, call them, send them a card, whatever it may be. And that is, realtors have been trying to be top of mind and in front of their clients for years, and this gives you an absolutely free way to do so all the time. Be a good customer of theirs. I think the slide's pretty self-explanatory. Then we dive into the last of those characteristics of our consumers, the DIY syndrome. Insert yourself into that process. You know more about home maintenance and improvements and renovation than anyone else, so remind them of that. And so inform them of important home maintenance. We've got tons of materials on our website that you could use to do this, or that you being, in this case, the agent, on, come the spring, healthy lawn and garden, around the holidays, maybe that vacation, preparing your home, pet safe foods, all these types of things are great content for the agents to use in that category. We've all heard of things like Angie's List, Home Advisor. This is a suggestion that an agent create their own really personalized list of service providers that they want to recommend. Keep in touch at tax time. Again, on our website, we have tons of resources to help the agents do that. So those are the ideas for creating the customer experience, but how do we do it? How does the agent get it all done? Set a schedule. We try to keep it pretty simple, set a schedule, but be very specific. I always say to the agents, we just went through, and I haven't counted, but lots of different ideas. Nobody can or really even should do them all. The concept here and the way to succeed with this is pick one or two, three or four if you're really ambitious, and say, this is what I'm going to do. And then get very specific. If you say, and I hope everyone does the first one, you're going to post market stats. Okay, that means get a plan together. Mark your calendar for, let's say, the 19th of every month. It's pretty safe. The variety of sources that come out and publish stats, us included, will be out by then. And so that's a great time to, but if you don't put it on your calendar and know that this is an action I have to take on the 19th of every month, it won't get done. Likewise, if you decide to embrace birthdays, okay, that means you need to sit down and create that list of the birthdays for every month, order your cards from Amazon, get a stack of stamps, all of the items that will take place, that will be needed to do so. And then time block. So again, if you're going to do birthdays, then you need to mark off a couple of hours, either at the first of a new month or the end of the next, and say, okay, this is when I sit down and write out all of my birthday cards and get them ready to be mailed in the month, for instance. And then the last couple slides, this quote came from a study, really is the core of why and how this class was written. This comes from a study that was done in March of 2017. It says, by 2020, customer experience will overtake price and product quality as the key brand differentiator. People want experiences. They are less likely to be shopping on price and even reputation and some things like that that previously were big key brand differentiators, and experience is much more a factor with today's consumer. And then the very last slide is just a good way to think about customer experience. Don't overwhelm yourself with thinking you have to become Nordstrom's. It really all boils down to this quote that we've all heard before, but people will forget what you said, what you did, but they will never forget how you make them feel. Literally, that's a perfect explanation of customer experience. When you are making everyone on your list constantly feel that they are one of your customers, they are much more likely to become your customers. It's a proactive, assumptive approach instead of the cross your fingers, drip on, touch, and market to this list of people that you hope will ultimately use your services. This is a just better approach. So there we go. I hope that was helpful. Let me know if you have questions.